Laura, and thank you, Robin. What a rock star panel this morning. And I want to just let everybody know that this is really special because you're getting in one day a cross-section of major new technologies, multiple technologies, new business models you've been hearing about, and the new consumer attitudes. And you can't go many places and get that. But we're not done, we got more. So my name is Maureen Conners, and my background is in marketing at Gillette, Levi's, Mattel, and I was on the board of Deckers brands, and their big brand is UGG and Hoka. And what you probably don't know is that I grew up with baseball. My dad was an announcer for the Albany Senators, and so when I heard the opportunity, breakthrough, future retail, and we're gonna be talking about some of those themes today. And let me ask you first, how many people right now work for a retailer or in the retail business? Raise your hands. Okay, that's a good number. Okay, how many work on brands?
Right.
I know. Oh, good. That's a nice mix. And finally, how many work in the sports business? Okay, good. Bravo. Game on. So this is game on. Get ready and get set. We're going to crank this out. What I want to do is we're talking really about the future, and we're going to talk about possibilities. I'm honored to have two wonderful guests, Michael Suswal from Standard Cognition and Matt Levin from the Pawtucket Red Sox. And they're a AAA team. You're going to hear more about that. But I did want to just talk a little bit, too, about newness. And data's great, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I feel I'm saving lives. So I love retail, I love shop, I call it the museum of merchandise. And I think if I make you look better, if I make you feel better, if I entertain you, you're gonna be nicer because you're feeling good, you're in a good mood. So some people, I'm not curing cancer, but I do believe that retail, all forms serve an important purpose. So I just wanted to get that out there. And as this last speaker spoke, tying to the emotion or really appealing to people that way is really powerful too. And with that, I'm going to be turning it over. But first, what's interesting is not only are we going to talk about frictionless shopping, but this panel is going to help you understand a famous song better. So how many of you know Take Me Out to the Ball Game? Okay, the second line is, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. And that's what we're going to be talking about, that whole variety, because this panel is going to add new meaning to that. So first, I'm going to have Michael come up and give us an overview, and then Matt, and then we're going to have a dialogue.
You want me up at the podium? You want me up there? Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the lunch. We don't mind munching, so just feel free to eat. So I'm Michael. I'm the COO of Standard Cognition and one of the co-founders there. And I don't want to go too much into the tech side today, although I'm happy to talk afterwards and get into the nitty-gritty as much as you like. We even have one of our engineers in the audience here. He might be willing to talk with you. But I really did want to talk about the human side of what the technology does and how everyone is going to engage with this technology in one way or another. And the core of the technology is computer vision. And we're just, a quick way to explain our company is we're like Amazon Go, but for everyone else. So instead of just creating our own stores for people to shop at, we deliver technology to every other retailer in the world that wants this technology in their stores. And there's really a dichotomy of experiences for us as opposed to Amazon and some of our other competitors. You can walk into the store and you can use the app. There's no scanning. You can just walk in. There's no gate. And when you walk in, you click a button and you check into the store. You put it in your pocket. You're free to shop, buy stuff, anything you want, walk out, and you get automatically charged. However, there's a reason we don't put gates at the door because we think it's ludicrous to put a gate between you and revenue. It doesn't really make any sense. It's the antithesis of what retailers should be doing. And so we didn't want those gates there. So you walk into the store, you don't have the app, maybe you just left your phone on your desk or in your car, or your battery's low and you don't want to use it. So you walk in just like you normally do, you pick up products just like you normally do, and on your way out the door, you'll stand in front of a kiosk-like solution. It can look different for every retailer, and it'll automatically identify everything you've taken, even if you've already consumed it. Then you can swipe a card, insert cash, use Apple Pay or whatever other payment source the retailer wants to use. then you just walk out. And we'll see a short video in a little bit. Actually, do you want us to show it now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Is this the clicker here?
Yeah.
See if I can do this. No?
Oh, there you go.
Maybe? No. I'm just going to give this to Matt, and I'll let him fool with it.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
So that's the check-in process. With our store, it doesn't matter whether or not it comes from the shelf. It can be handed to you by someone else, which is something that our competitors don't do. It doesn't have to go into a special cart or a special bag. That's weird. And then she just exits the store. And then moments later, it can take a couple minutes at times, but then she'll get her receipt on her phone. And if she provides information, like her email address or something like that, you'll also get an email with your receipt. But the receipts are also stored in the app. And this allows us to be completely anonymous. You can shop in the store. We don't ever know that Joey Shopper went into the store that day. It's just a person was in there, they took these items, and it went through a tokenized payment system. And that's integrated with the retailer's POS so that all of their CRM and inventory data is as it is now. And we also provide other data points. So there's really three main products that we offer. Standard checkout, which is what we just showed. Standard analytics, because basically to build this system, you need to understand the entire environment and how people are engaging with it. So not just what did people buy, but what did they pick up and then not buy? How did they enter the store? Was it with a group or was it by themselves? Did they see an end cap display and then buy it off the regular point in the shelf? Just because you're standing near an end cap doesn't mean it's a place that you're engaging with. When I go grocery shopping with my wife, my job is to drive the cart and stay out of the way. And so I'll get my phone and I'll be doing my emails somewhere in the store, but the data is telling the retailer this is a hot spot, but it's a hot spot for me to check my email, not necessarily to engage. And so bringing these insights to retailers is one of the things we do. The third piece is security, standard security. And this is important because there is no gates anymore, and the cashier is not necessary. So you walk into the store, you pick things up. If you didn't use the app and you start exiting the store, we want to be able to notify the managers or the store staff that, hey, go have a conversation with this person before they leave, before they set off an alarm. This is a lot less aggressive. You can say, hello, can I help you today? Can I help you find the kiosk? Can I help you download the app? Can I help you purchase the Snickers bar in your back pocket? That's a big piece for us to be able to do, because we don't want people to feel like they're being accused of something when it could be an honest mistake. So that's a part of standard security. And I won't go into too much detail. I'll get technical in a minute, and we're going to have
a panel discussion, but the video is showed. I don't know how many of you are in the Bay Area, but that store is actually on Market Street, and it's fabulous.
Thank you, Maureen. I completely forgot. That's our store in San Francisco. We have several other clients that will be announcing store launches this year. But aside from that, I think I'll turn it over to Matt and a little bit about the why we decided to partner with the Red Sox and why the Red Sox reached out to us. And the core of it is really about doing an environment that's unique for baseball. We wanted to show one of our core pillars, of course, is privacy, but another one is flexibility. And allowing the retailer to bring the magic to the store is our main focus. We don't bring the magic, the retailer does.
Yay.
So with that, I'll hand it over to Matt.
Great. Thanks, Mark. See that? Good job.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matt Levin. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the Pawtucket Red Sox. And I was charged with a mission by our chairman, Larry Lucchino, to effectively find unique technology that we could help utilize in enhancing our overall fan experience at a new ballpark that we're building for the Red Sox AAA minor league team in Polar Park. Polar Park is set to open in April of 21 in Worcester. It's the second largest city in New England after Boston. And for Larry, This is the 5th ballpark that he's actually built. Back in 1992, he set the trend for the way ballparks in America are created when he built Camden Yards at Oriole Park. And there was a grand vision that Larry had, which was, let's build a ballpark that's traditional, intimate, that also has all of the modern amenities. And that same grand vision that Larry introduced when building Camden Yards in 1992 is still applicable today. As we look at Polar Park, we will have a traditional, old-fashioned, intimate, modern ballpark, but one of the key amenities will be provided by standard Cognition. I'm going to introduce here a quick video where Larry could share the news via video.
Hello, everyone. We made, I think it's fair to say, national news because we are the first ballpark to announce that we will have a friction-free, transaction-free kind of marketplace in left field where people will go in and pick up their sort of a grab-and-go concept. I've been in baseball for over 40 years now. And I will tell you that in virtually every one of those years, I walked around ballparks and stadiums and other facilities to make sure that the lines were as small as possible, the wait was as short as possible, and the people were as satisfied with the experience as possible. And I think that this left field market, that with our partner in artificial intelligence, Standard Cognition, will be the wave of the future. It will be a way that people will enjoy concessions and food and beverages at public facilities, sporting facilities, without having the detriment of missing an inning of the game because they've had to wait in a long concession line.
Great. Well, thank you so much. That is so exciting, and let's give a round of applause to them. Okay. Matt, go ahead. We're going to talk about the possibilities, and I think this just opens up. It's interesting in terms of both of you guys, really, in terms of what you see, the vision of retail, your vision, and where it fits in, and what it means to retail and consumers and sports. And I also want to then touch upon what you're doing, some of the research you're doing too, especially with other brands like Mars, Wrigley, and I know James is in the audience, so anyhow. Good. Okay, do you want to start?
Yeah, no, definitely. We're really excited about having this left field marketplace, and we really believe it's the start. As we look at the overall ballpark, there's so many different avenues where we could introduce this technology. We believe that we want to cut out lines. It's one of our greatest pet peeves when people are standing in lines when they came to the ballpark to be able to watch the game. And how about that 5-year-old who may be standing in line with her mom for ice cream, and it takes 15 minutes to get to the front, and then all of a sudden the ice cream is melted by the time they get back to the seat. So we're really trying to enhance the experience by bringing this technology. It's going to complement. The technology here is aimed at complementing the experience. It's not introducing technology for the sake of technology. It's introducing technology to aid our fans.
Yeah, actually, on that point of the kid waiting in line, I was just talking with one of our colleagues earlier this morning, and there was an instance where I was at a facility and I didn't want to miss anything. So I actually had paid for concession foods and then left and didn't get my food because I was missing something. So that was an issue that I think is a similar kind of instance. And that doesn't count how much loss there is in terms of bulk. So people enter the line with items intending to purchase and then just leave. And that's something we want to get rid of. But the vision is bigger, as Matt said.
Yeah.
And right now we're talking about a store, but that's really just our entrance into the market. And one of the things, the biggest reason we came here today to talk to you guys is to do a mini announcement. I don't know if, Matt, you wanted to? Okay. So that, we're doing this deal with Polar Park. We're putting this store in the left field market. And we've been working together on this now for almost a year, I guess, in terms of at least the early concept. And now it's turned into, hey, let's bring this to every other facility and arena in the world. And I told Matt, you're crazy. And he's like, no, we can do it. And I told him, I've been spending the last 3 years learning retail. I can't learn sports too. And he's like, no, we'll do it with you. And this has led to a partnership that we'd like to announce today. That Matt and I, in association with the Red Sox and Standard Cognition, are working to bring this concept to every other stadium, not just in the nation, but in the world. Hopefully starting with the U.S. And probably Japan as well, but Europe is next on the list after that.
Yeah, Larry's definitely leading these efforts here, and his vision that he had back at Camden Yards really revolutionized ballparks and venues in the country and in the world, and we think this technology has the means of hopefully doing a similar thing for the experience for fans.
And I think it's going to have impact on industries too. And you heard this morning, I can't remember if it was Brendan, whoever, once a consumer or a person experiences something better in their life, magic, better feeling, the expectation, it crosses over to other industries. You can be saying, well, I don't care, it's the consumer, it's sports, but they come to, you've made it so good for them, you've saved them time. And how many of you had to wait in line to check in to get your CES badge? Okay, can you imagine if it was really frictionless and seamless?
Just walk out and it prints out for you.
And I think people really recognize that it's going to impact not just the industries we're talking about, but a lot.
I think one of our objectives as well is to be able to utilize some of the labor that used to be at cash registers and have those folks serve as ambassadors in the retail environment to create more meaningful interactions with the customers. So we're not getting rid of any jobs, we're actually taking those jobs and utilizing them so fans could make sure they're helped better throughout the process of shopping in one of our locations.
I like to compare it to how Uber and Lyft affected the taxi industry. Being originally from New York, or the New York area, and working in Manhattan for 6-7 years, I took a lot of taxis. And it's kind of gross, to be honest. There's these screens there, and it's kind of not clean, and there's a TV in your face, and then you're arguing with the driver about where to go, and at the end, you're passing money through this little slot, and you just want to get the hell out of the car. And it creates a weird dynamic, I would say a not very nice dynamic between you and the driver. And when Uber came along, you got in the car, they knew where you were going, and it was, hey, how's you doing today? And you talk about random things. Like, I've had so many random weird conversations, sometimes unwanted, but usually it's me driving that. And when you get out of the car, it's, all right, have a nice day, see you later. And it was just so much better experience because you've gotten rid of the gross transacting part, and now it's a human relationship. And that's the kind of feeling we want to bring to the retail store. My vision is creating an old world market. That's what I want to see more of, where you walk in and people have more time to engage with you. Oh, hey, I know you buy this thing all the time. We have a new flavor of something that you might like to try. Suggesting things, getting to know people, and acting in a way that robots can't. In communications and forming relationships with customers.
And I was going to say, I really think that's key because, so for those of you who can go to the store in San Francisco, when I went in, Kiki was there, and she really looked me in the eyes, and I do enjoy shopping, as you can tell, but only for a couple of hours. But there was stuff I hadn't seen, so I was able to, wander around and then ask questions, and it was stuff I was really interested in, so it just made me feel better. And someone paying attention to you, looking you in the eye, that to me was a new recent experience. But what I also wanted you to help our audience with is they're in different fields, and as you think about this is a new world, or is it 3 years away, 5 years away? What would both of you say about that? And then what advice would you give the audience members? You're in different industries, about what are the things you should be preparing now? Because again, if you're competing, again, I've been mostly on the brand side, so I have to think differently about making an impact at retail. And maybe we'll start first with you talking about the Mars Wrigley test,
Sure.
Michael.
Sure, yeah. So we put out an announcement not too long ago of a partnership with Mars Wrigley. And the focus of that is for both sides to learn about each other's businesses better.
How many?
Mars is an expert. They've been around for 100 and some years on how people shop for impulse category goods, how to, really the psychology of it, where to place the goods, when to present those goods, and really the whole customer journey and how people move through a space. We, as a technology company, know nothing about that. And it's been very interesting to learn about the issues and the problems they think of that they want answers to. And from their side, how is autonomous checkout, which is going to be everywhere, how is that going to affect sales? How is that going to affect your impulse buying? How is that going to drive your bottom line? Those are questions that a lot of technology companies are not talking about. We really care about that. It makes no sense to go into a relationship with us if it lowers your sales. So we really care about how products get placed and how we're going to affect that world. So the partnership with Mars Wrigley is to work together to figure out how that will change the dynamic of the shopping experience, and then how folks like Mars Wrigley can then advise clients and how we can advise our clients on how to productize and merchandise their stores and in relationship to this new technology.
Great. And Matt, do you want to give some of your advice, words of
no,
wisdom?
Definitely. I think one of the things that appealed to us in our partnership here with Standard Cognition and what we felt is that we as the retailer are bringing the magic to this experience. And one piece in particular that we really believe in is consumer choice. We can't go in thinking that all of a sudden people will no longer be utilizing cash. And for us, the ability for that fan, when they enter in the store, if they don't want to pay by credit card, they still have the means of walking up to a kiosk at the end of the experience and actually paying with cash right there. So for us, as a retailer, I think that was important. When it comes to the vision, I urge people to just think big. Think about the possibilities of how the way this idea had in some ways surfaced is back 3 or 4 years ago when this technology was getting out there. Larry and I were driving in a car. We weren't thinking about autonomous vehicles. We were thinking about how could we help this ballpark that we're building in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I think the more that you could think about how technology could aid with the role that you do, I think it will.
If you ever get a chance to go to a ballpark with Matt and Larry, it's great. Walking around the park and the energy and excitement they bring to the environment makes you can't help but to feel excited. And the vision is beyond this store. We talk a bit. Matt and I are both fans of Disney. I think Matt more than
I proposed at Disney World to my wife.
Yeah, that's right.
In Cinderella's castle, the Magic Kingdom.
So we're both big fans of Disney. I'm a big fan of Disney from the perspective of how well they do their customer experience. You walk into the park, and they've worked really hard to make it as easy and as seamless as possible. And sitting with Matt, and when he was talking about the game, we were at the game, and he's talking about all these ideas. It's really a vision of turning the whole park into an autonomous area, almost like a Disney theme park. So you walk into the park, and at that point you're in the ecosystem, and then it should be like you should feel close to you, and you can just take what you want and go where you want, get advice through digital means if you want it. What concession is the shortest line? Delivering concession to your seat is something they already do, but really upping that a bit more and allowing the whole park to feel at your fingertips. And without missing part of the game.
And I know I want to make sure we stay on time. Matt, did you want to close with some comment?
I think that's exactly right. And I think one of the things that was appealing is the no-gated technology. We don't want to drive customers away. The only access point to get into the facility is when your ticket gets scanned. And from that point on, the ideal would be that you could go and roam throughout the entire facility, get whatever food you want, and you don't have to wait to get charged for it.
If I can emphasize one point.
Sure,
I don't know
go
where
ahead.
we are in time. I could
Okay.
do this all day.
Yeah.
One of the things that really attracted me to working with Matt and the team is that they had a very specific vision. One of my favorite questions to ask retailers is, how do you see the future? What's your vision of the future for retail, and how do you fit into that future? And about 50% of the time I get an answer, and the other 50% of the time I get a blank look. But Matt had an answer, and the baseball is very family-focused, friend-focused. It has a specific kind of environment. And one of the things our company wanted to highlight is our willingness and ability to allow the retailer to design that experience, how to create a family-friend environment and to work within it is really important to us because the next retailer wants to do a different kind of experience. And when you talk with these other retailers, the number one reason they call me is we want a unique user experience. But if you're working with a company that does the system the same way for everyone, what you're really doing is you're on the cutting edge of a cookie cutter experience. And you might be the first of that cookie cutter experience, but unless you're designing the feeling and the experience of how a customer enters, shops, and exit your space, you're really just setting yourself up for this kind of.
Great. And so, Matt, would you like to make a final comment?
One final closing thought.
Yeah.
I think my recommendation is to live through the consumer journey. At the end of the day, all of us within the organization are huge baseball fans. We're diehard baseball fans, and we live through the experience of the 10-year-old and the 40-year-old and the 90-year-old, and I think that's the start of it because in my travels, I've been fortunate to have visited every major league ballpark in the country.
Right.
And 39 of them, and some that
Been
aren't.
to all of them, and Matt's been to 300 retailers, so yeah.
So in that sense, I believe that the more you could understand the journey from the consumer lens, the easier it is to figure out how you could help the consumer.
Great. So I want to thank our speakers, and all of us will be available outside afterwards because I'm sure some of you have more detailed questions, et cetera. So this was a great job, and thank you for sharing the announcement with us, and thank our audience too for being a great audience and handling that. So thank you.